Racing to the 2020 Preakness Stakes, and it's time for the Preakness Preview 2020. The 145th running drew a field of 11 horses, including the Kentucky Derby winner Authentic. We'll take a horse-by-horse preview, but mainly focus on the top contenders for this 2020 edition. Starting at the rail with Accession, 30-1 on the morning line. Steve Asmussen trains, and Accession has been off a long layoff since running at Oaklawn Park. Obviously some physical issues after that race, but they seem to have him regrouped and ready here for a big effort, coming in off the bench at Pimlico for the tight turns of Old Hilltop. But let's see what Accession can do. I think he's kind of a long shot in this spot. His overall speed figures, now granted it's been a while since he's ran, it just doesn't seem, even with some three-year-old maturity, is going to get him near that 104 to 105 mark that he's going to need in this race. Mr. Big News gets the two-hole, and Mr. Big News is 12-1 after a 46-1 shot. That got him third place in the Kentucky Derby. Mr. Big News has continued to train forwardly, definitely has the distance pedigree, definitely separated himself from the back of the pack contenders the last time out, and Mr. Big News is going to come from off the pace again, and a chance to maybe fill out those exotics. On the win end, though, I'm leaning towards other horses. Art Collector is the 5-2 second favorite here in the Preakness. Now, he had to scratch out of the Kentucky Derby, never actually officially entered that race. He was going to probably be second on the morning line, but a foot injury that day decided not to enter the Kentucky Derby, wait for the Preakness. He's had two workouts since then, and it looks like Art Collector is probably going to be the second favorite here in the Preakness, but this time, rather than being the second favorite to Tis the Law, he'll be the second favorite to the favorite Authentic, who wired the Kentucky Derby. Now, Art Collector is definitely a big addition to this race because he has speed. And if he wants to go up and pressure Authentic, he is going to be the horse that's capable of doing that. He went wire to wire in the Bluegrass Stakes. That time out, the track was favoring speed, but I like the fact that he got aggressive early, got an aggressive ride, and was able to win that. He also won the Bluegrass tracking Swiss Skydiver, who we'll talk about, who's also entered in this race, so he can come from just off the pace. And then earlier in a small field, he came in on some slow fractions and finished fastest, getting a final impressive late pace rating from Brisnet in that race. So I like the versatility of Art Collector. I like the fact that he can run from off the pace. He can go to the lead. He seems to be improving, and his 2020 form has been top-notch. Art Collector, definitely one of the top favorites in this race. Swiss Skydiver, 6-1. She enters a second place finish in the Kentucky Oaks after being one of the favorites that day, and now she's going to take on the boys again. She did lose to Art Collector in the Bluegrass Stakes. She was aggressively ridden that day, took the lead, set some fast fractions, and then was overtaken late by Art Collector, but clearly distanced herself from the back of the pack. She followed that up with a win at 1.25 miles at demanding distance for the fillies at Saratoga, and then ran second to She's a Daredevil in the Kentucky Oaks. She's been training forwardly since that race. Definitely a throwback type horse. She's got transactional speed. She can be on the front end like she did in the Santa Anita Oaks. She can come also slow down the fractions like she did at Gulfstream. And she can just run near the pace too, like Oaklawn Park. So she seems to run on any surface. She seems to run all different types of running styles. And her speed figures put her right in the mix here of the top three contenders, along with Authentic and Art Collector. 6-1 on Swiss Skydiver. 1,000 Words is 6-1. Now, he was kind of an interesting horse. It was about 10-1 in the betting with about 10 minutes to post when he acted up in the paddock and ended up injuring assistant trainer Jimmy Barnes, who was saddling him that day. They ended up scratching Art Collector. They ended up scratching 1,000 Words when he banged his head, and he was not running in the Kentucky Derby, so all that money then went to some other horses and refunds in the doubles and pick threes, and you got the favorite in the pick three and the pick four. Meanwhile, 1,000 Words trained up to this race, had a couple of nice long workouts, definitely a contender here at 6-1 for trainer Bob Baffert. Jesus Team, 30-1, enters the Preakness Stakes. He's a new shooter, as they like to say. He's going to be a long shot in this spot. Just doesn't have the speed figures to contend with some of the top horses, and I don't think he has the right running style or the race flow will favor his long shot chances. New York Traffic had an interesting traffic trip in the Kentucky Derby. He was one of the top 7-8 favorites, but he broke out of the gate and interfered with Honor AP that day, and then never really ran his race after running a close second to Authentic and the Haskell. Now, he did have a strong stretch run that day, but that was his best race of the year from a visual standpoint and from a speed figure standpoint, and I have a feeling he may not have a lot of improvement left in him. He's been running all throughout the winter and spring, took a little bit of time off before the Haskell and then had a 6-week break before the Derby. So he should be fresh for this race, but I'm just not sure he's a mile and a quarter, a mile and a 3/16 type horse. New York Collector, I'm going to be not using him as liberally as some of the other horses in this race, as I think other horses fit the race flow better in this spot. Max Player is 15-1 in the morning line. Steve Asmussen trains and Max Player. You know, he passed some horses late in the Belmont Stakes. He passed some horses in the Travers. Now he comes here into the Kentucky Derby. Second time with Steve Asmussen. Continues to train forwardly since the Kentucky Derby. Should be able to pass some horses. The first crop of Honor Code. And he's definitely seems to have a route pedigree. Has a staying type of style. And I think he could definitely be in the superfecta here. Max Player, definitely one of the horses you want to consider in the bottom half of those exotics. Authentic is your 9-5 favorite, and he enters in off an impressive wire-to-wire victory in the Kentucky Derby. Now, that time there was less speed in the race with the scratches of King Galarmo, also along with Swiss Skydiver not being in that race. Now, this time he's got a little bit of Swiss Skydiver to maybe match strides with early, or at least press the pace. Then you've got a horse like Art Collector this time, so he won't get, you know, he ran fast in the Kentucky Derby, but he won that on class, and he was in shape, and he's continued to work forwardly. Had a nice workout on Monday to get ready for this race. Had an impressive 6-furlong workout the previous week. So he definitely seems to be holding his form and holding his muscle since the Kentucky Derby. I guess the key to him, if he goes too fast, he's probably a little bit vulnerable, but he is getting a little bit more pace pressure, but he might be able to slow down the pace, because I'm not sure anybody's going to want to be out there winging it under 47 again or under 110. Temperature should be in the 60s, supposed to be a dry track, and the son of Into Mischief, really all systems are go for trainer Bob Baffert. Not a lot to knock here. I guess the only question is pace, and does Art Collector or Swiss Collector go after Authentic early on, or even at that half-mile pole? Because I do think there is some stamina questions if he gets challenged a little bit at that half-mile pole, but that's true with any horse that likes to run on the front end. Pneumatic, a 20-1 shot here for Steve Asmussen, the third of Steve Asmussen's trainees. Big prep at Monmouth, nice big figure in that race. Definitely can come from off the pace, and just off the pace again, he could be one of that second flight of horses, depending on who goes with Authentic on the front end, whether it's Art Collector or possibility of Swiss Skydiver. I think Pneumatic is sitting on a career top in this race, and the son of Uncle Mo is definitely a win contender if you don't like Authentic and using exactas and trifectas, maybe even a backup on your daily doubles or pick threes. But Pneumatic, I think, has the right running style, an impressive effort at Monmouth Park, and I like the fact that he comes in off an easy race. I think this will be his career top. Whether or not that is good enough to win this race, I guess we'll see on Saturday. Live Your Best Life rounds out the field, and Live Your Best Life was second at Saratoga in his most recent race. The winner of that race, Mystic Guide, is not going to run in the Preakness. He's going to run in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, but Live Your Beast Life comes in with a live long shot chance. I don't like the post position being 11th of 11 horses and with some other pace pressers. He's going to have to drop back or possibly gun to the lead, and I don't think they want to do that. So I think he's going to drop back. That's going to put him on a wide trip, probably on the second and third turns, and probably not going to run his best race, but he does seem to be an improving type of horse. So the keys to this race are the pace pressure of Authentic on the front end. He's trained well since the Derby. He should get a good trip here, whether or not he's on the lead or sitting in that second flight. Pneumatic, I think, is going to run a career top. I think Art Collector definitely can run close to his near top, if not a new top. And Swiss Skydiver also provides some stiff competition on that front end, or just sitting off the pace. Going to be an exciting edition of the Preakness Stakes 2020. Who do you like? Leave a comment. Remember, hit subscribe, and we'll race you up to the 2020 Preakness Stakes.